Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and I hate to be this way, but I don't have a background visual for this video because I think I have a fever, and it is approximately midnight for me, and I have done a video on this channel every day for 7 months straight. We're starting month 8, but we're going to start strong. I'm not going to give up. We're going to get through this video. Holly by Stephen King. This is the 9th video, I believe, in this series, and we're going to have an episode about a pair of chapters that stuff starts moving forward. So what happens? Then we'll have a lit crit portion, and then we'll have a writer's notes portion, writer's corner. So what happens in these pair of chapters? Barbara goes to meet Emily. But it isn't Emily she wants to know. Barbara is a poet who spoke to the department head about Olivia Kingsbury, herself a poet and a former professor. Barbara was told that Emily and Olivia were friends, and she was sent there to meet Emily. Barbara would like to meet Kingsbury's mentee. Would like to be, Kingsbury's mentee, but is told to approach through Emily. Emily asks to see a sample of her poetry, which, by the way, probably the most unrealistic thing I have ever seen through the annals of Stephen King. Psychopaths, that's real. Pennywise, I don't know, maybe. Children who can see the dead and communicate with them while their father goes crazy in a hotel room. Yeah, that's probably happened before. But a professor who asks to see your writing? Never. M thinks she's talented, however, and asks for her phone number and an email address. Oh, yeah. And M had given her tea as well, tea that was spiked. It was old, expired tea, which Barbara poured down the sink once Emily left the room, and M got it all on tape as an experiment, right? And the old couple, Em and Roddy, they have a good laugh at that and put Barbara in the maybe pile. Maybe they will go ahead and murder this young woman as well. Cut to Holly interviewing one of Bonnie's old coworkers who has no answers, but she raises the specter of a woman named Ellen who was a janitor at the college. Ellen disappeared too. Well, Holly goes home and Holly calls Barbara to see if she will do some research for her. Barbara can't. She calls Pete to see if he will do some research for her. Doesn't go quite as well as she had hoped, so she lays there in bed and she's contemplating on it. She has let go of the question and is a little bit roiling in defeat when it comes to her. So she calls. She calls Holly's old coworker back and says, "Hey, I got one more question. This Ellen that you told me about, did she drive?" Ellen did not drive. Ellen took the bus, and when she couldn't get on the bus because of the weather, or when she didn't want to get on the bus because of the weather, I can't quite remember, she stopped and rented a bike. I thought it said because the weather was bad, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Why would you ride a bike in bad weather? Anyway, hard to say. Maybe I'm sick. So, Holly has the realization that none of these people that she knows about. Bonnie didn't drive to work. She had a car but didn't use it when she was going to work. Going to work or coming back from work was when she disappeared. Stinky Steinman certainly didn't drive. He was too young for that. He had a skateboard. And here we have Ellen, who is the next person about whom we are raising questions. Now, let's get to the lit crit portion of this. On page 156, pardon me, one you like, but one that's short, a page or less. This is M telling Barbara which poem that she wants to read. Give me one that's short. This is actually a page or less. This is actually a guideline that many publications use when asking for submissions. Many publications, most publications, will give you a line limit. Many of them today are asking for a page or less. There is a pandemic of long-winded poets. So that is what that is. On 159, we get Stephen King literally putting in print in dash word. Now, Stephen King has thrown around a whole lot of foul language thus far in this novel, a whole lot of it. He's not willing to use that one. At one point in time, however, Stephen King threw that around like it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So, just a sign of how times have changed. He's willing to use a lot of words, but not that word. So, what does that mean about Stephen King? What are we doing here, Stephen? Look, I'm not saying he should use it. That's for him to decide. What I'm asking is, so I would be interested to see why he is so quick to use slurs for Hispanic people, why he is so quick to use slurs for gay people, but he's not quick to use slurs for other types of people. What is Stephen King's hierarchy? It seems very much that he has one. On 164, yeah, 164 here. We get this quote from Stephen King. This is in Holly's chapter. She takes a moment to close her eyes and mutter a prayer. It's the one most commonly associated with recovering alcoholics, but it's also good for lots of other things. And oh, no, that's the wrong one. That's for the writer's portion. This one. America is coming back. COVID ready or not. That worries her, but it also gives Holly hope. What I want to know, this chapter is written to be in July 2021. Does Stephen King from his ivory tower know how over it real people were by July 2021? What I want to know, I wish I had a document of this book so that I could search the word mask and see how often it is used. Because I like to imagine Stephen King in his ivory tower at his ivory keyboard. Every time he says, oh, took her mask off, put her mask on. Oh, he's just self-touching, just feeling so good about this language. Doesn't everyone know they will remember this era of time by my Stephen Kingly words? Everything they will think about COVID and everything that did or did not happen is because of me. Look at the magical words on paper. Stephen, shut up. I'm tired of reading about masks. I'm almost as tired of reading about masks as I was done with wearing them. And I worked retail. I had to wear those things way longer than most people. On 165, just because I'm a little upset and Stephen King is so ivory tower, so prim and proper about things now, we get this. Holly, who is interviewing Lakeisha, Bonnie's old coworker, Holly thinks she's Bonnie's age, give or take a year, and she looks absolutely smashing. Young and vital and sexy. Stephen, I don't know if you knew this, but it's the male gaze whether you channel it through a female protagonist or not. It's the male gaze, buddy. I don't care. Hey, you have an authorial voice. But would you care, Stephen? Would you grant another writer that same type of courtesy? And finally, for the writers, for the lit crit portion, and maybe this is in the writers portion, I don't know. This is confusing. So we have here still Holly interviewing Lakeisha. And Lakeisha is intimating that probably Bonnie was killed. After being tortured, after being exploited, all of these things, and then killed. And Lakeisha says, I hope you get him. I hope you put a bullet in him. Put it right in his MFing ball sack. I am 38 years old. I maybe haven't had a whole lot of friends in my life. Known quite a few people. I've had a full-time job since I was 17. I've gone to 3 different colleges. I've lived in 3 different cities. Interacted with a whole lot of different types of people. Never have I ever, and please, if you have a story about this, let me know. Never have I ever heard a woman use the term ball sack. Never. As in, not once in 38 years. Never. If you are a woman, let me know if you have ever used the term ball sack. Do you use that term? Do you use that word? I doubt that you do. Now, let's talk about some writing, because there are a couple of things that I think are worth mentioning here. We have, back on 164, the quote that I started reading. She takes a moment to close her eyes and mutter a prayer. Is the one most commonly associated with recovering alcoholics, but it's good for lots of other things and lots of other people, including her. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Her mother is dead. I won't go as far as to say that that's bad writing. I'm not going to go that far. I will say, however, that I think it's lazy writing. You are in that little section introducing idea, when, in reality, thoughts don't come to us one at a time. They are intertwined with each other. So what if that section went something more like this? Grant me the serenity, she starts, like an alcoholic, to accept the things I cannot change. Death, her mother's death. Now, that's a whole lot fewer words, and it's all of the ideas intertwined with one another. Now, who am I to give Stephen King pointers on writing? But I don't think I'm giving Stephen King pointers necessarily on writing so much as I am talking about Stephen King having fallen into laziness. And that happens to writers. Hey, if I didn't have to have a manuscript edited, proofread, or even ran past someone before it was off to the print, yeah, I'd probably get a little lazy with my words as well. And while we're talking about things that people don't say, Lakeisha in general, and I think it's maybe because Lakeisha is a black character, so Stephen King doesn't think she talks like a person. Don't worry about it. They're all playing softball. So Holly is interviewing Lakeisha and saying, I'm sorry for taking you away from your friends. And Lakeisha replies, don't worry about it. They're all playing softball or swimming. I'm a lousy baller. I'm a lousy baller? What is it with Lakeisha and balls? It is a strange phenomenon. But that's all that I have for this video. I hope to have you back for the next installment, the 10th, I believe, installment of Holly by Stephen King, the next 2 chapters in this series. We are now 100 and... Oh, it's like 180-ish pages? 179 pages, 178, I guess, technically, pages in. Oh, the next chapter opens up with citing T.S. Eliot, good Missouri boy, and Ezra Pound, not from Missouri. But that'll be interesting. Stephen King is very well read. It's a shame what's happened to him. So that's all I have for this episode. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out on the channel, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button. Stick around for the multiple videos that I drop every week. I am hoping to get to a year of consecutive daily uploads. But if I do get to a year, it will be on the precipice of National Poetry Month, so I would have to go 13 consecutive months with daily uploads. So wish me luck as we journey in to month 8. yeah, I hope to see you on the next one.